Following the earthquake in Ecuador is Stephanie Christensen from ShelterBox Canada. This is an international relief organization. Can you tell us what your role will be in Ecuador? I understand you have some teams on standby right now.
Absolutely. So ShelterBox works around the world. We provide life-saving shelter and supplies after man-made or natural disasters. We have a team ready to go, bags packed. As soon as the Ecuadorian government asks for international assistance, we'll send that team in and we'll do everything that we can where appropriate to provide shelter.
And you'll be bringing these shelter boxes with you, and we actually have some video in our studio, so perhaps you could even kind of speak to what will be going to Ecuador once that official request comes in.
Absolutely. So if we're asked to come in, shelter boxes come packed with a family tent, which is good to 120-kilometer winds, monsoon rains. It's a really high-tech, safe tent for families. We also provide them with water purification, which is really important after earthquakes. Mosquito nets, as we see, I mean, the Zika outbreak is still going on in South America. That's going to be a continuous problem. Cooking equipment, blankets, basically everything those families need to have a safe place and to get back on their feet after this disaster.
And how many of these boxes would you go with? I mean, it's probably kind of difficult to assess given we don't know the exact situation there, but it's not good.
Absolutely. So as soon as we're asked to come and assist, we'll send that team right away. They're ready to go. They'll work with local organizations on the ground, with the international community, and with the government to see what is needed, where our solution is appropriate, and then we have aid stored in Colombia and Panama. ShelterBox stores aid around the world so we can respond as quickly as possible. So as soon as we have an idea of what that is, and as we can see, I mean, the damage is fairly large spread, we'll be able to bring that aid in, and we do have enough aid stored to have a fairly massive response if that's what's needed from us.
Do you work with other organizations that will also be on the ground?
Absolutely. So we are part of the UN cluster system, which means that we work with all of the major players, so the Red Cross, the UN, the UNHCR, all of those major players. We'll work with them to make sure that not everyone is working in one area. We want to make sure that we spread out and help as many families as possible. So we'll work with those organizations as well as local Red Cross and other local on-the-ground organizations that have that experience.
And your team has responded to disasters similar to what we're seeing in Ecuador. Perhaps you could touch on how important it is to get that help there as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. So one of the things I love most about ShelterBox is we can respond very rapidly. We work all around the world. We generally respond to a new disaster every 2 weeks. So we're at these big ones, but we're also at the small ones that aren't making the news as much. It is so important to get to these families as soon as possible, especially in earthquake situations. People don't want to be going back in buildings. We had a massive response in Nepal about this time last year, and people were sleeping out in fields, in the rain, in the weather. We want to get those people in a home as soon as possible, even if that's just a temporary shelter.
Of course. Well, we really appreciate you coming in today. Stephanie Christensen from ShelterBox Canada. If anyone wants any information on the next steps, that'll be on your website, I imagine?
Yeah, it's shelterboxcanada.org.
Okay, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.